I want to say Dr. Sada will be making presentation one day in the same room.
And now I will continue with the investigation, the techniques used in the investigation of the Romanov family. And there were three main techniques used. The first one was the STR short random repeat. In the DNA occurs when a fact, and it is a
Accurate. You can skip. सिर्फ आप उनकी टेक्निक को ना पढ़ते रहो, आगे चलते रहो. You will get up to 2%.
The STR technique, the other one is mitochondrial DNA technique, and the Y chromosome STR technique. So please, there is a question now. Can you tell me why mitochondrial DNA technique is used?
For maternity.
What is the difference between mitochondrial DNA technique and the Y chromosome DNA? Mitochondrial DNA technique is used in the maternity and Y chromosome DNA
अक्सर को कुछ नहीं पता कलीमू वहाँ पे कुछ नहीं लिखा हो यार बाहर चले जाओ ओवर पेज बनो. तो पहली बात तो यह है कि आप लोगों को पता ही कुछ नहीं वो बाद में आपको क्रिटिसिज्म होगा अपनी. मकसद तो ये है कि आप लोगों को पहले कुछ नहीं आता. वो जो मौत है आप उसकी भी मिस्ती है नीचे तालियां बजाने से कुछ नहीं होता. उसकी इज्जत उसी में आप लोगों की आप बात सुनो इसे बाहर से पूछो. ये जो कंफ्यूज चल रहे हैं ना बाद में जो मुंह खोल गए
The purpose of doing the mitochondrial DNA in that technique was that the mother, she was linked to the British royal family as of Alexander. The Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, son of Alexander's oldest sister Victoria, and the Marquess of Milford Haven, he gave a DNA sample which matched with that of the remains, and through that she was recognized as the Sarina, the prince or the princess of the Romanov family. Sarina. And the father was determined to be related to the Grand Duke George Alexandrovich, the younger brother of Nicholas II. And the British scientists said that they were more than 98.5% sure that the remains were those of the Tsar, his family, and their attendants. And the conclusion after all these investigations and extensive analysis, it was concluded that the bones found are those of this family of Romanov. And now during that investigation, there were the Tsar and his wife and 5 children were killed at that time. But only his three daughters, the princess and the Tsar, Nicholas Tsar, he was identified. During the summer of 2007, it was reported that a second grave site had been located by an amateur archaeologist, Sergei Protnikov. The grave included the remains of 2 other individuals which seemed that they were the lost prince, the lost son, and his one prince and his one the daughter. And then almost after 1 year later, in May 2008, it was reported by Russian officials that DNA evidence linked these two individuals to be the Romanov family. And the DNA solved the mystery by identifying bone shards found in the grave. And this is the Peter and Paul fortress in St. Petersburg where their graves have been. St. Petersburg where their graves have been. They were buried later. And these are the burial of their 5 children. Then after their burial in 2010 August, the Supreme Court ordered the prosecutor to reopen the investigation of murder of Nicholas II and his family, despite the fact that the Bolsheviks, which they believe that they shot them in 1918, to reopen, but as it had been around a century ago, so that was again investigated and said that formally closed by the lawyer of the Nicholas that it has been elapsed a long too much time, so the case must be closed, and that was the main result of the Nicholas Tsar family. And now there is a little history about the DNA testing. This is the mummy. This is the head of the pharaoh mummy, knight of Egypt. The face of linen wrapped mummy of King Tutankhamun about 3,300 years ago. And the historical facts, these were all the facts were repeated by the DNA testing, and they were concluded. And this was the first DNA study ever conducted by the ancient Egyptian royal mummies. This was the first mummy on which the DNA technique was used. And the famed he was suffered from a cleft palate and club foot, likely forcing him to walk with a cane, and died from the complications from a broken leg, exacerbated by malaria, and according to the most extensive study ever of his mummy. And he was known as the golden boy of the ancient Egypt. But during his reign, he wasn't exactly a strapping sun god. It means a very powerful sun god, as they worship the sun gods. He was, the main revolution through the DNA technique was that his father and mother were brother and sister of that fellow. Yeah. King Tut's mother and father were brother and sister, and it was revealed by the DNA technique used in Germany, University of Tübingen. And he said that inbreeding is not, and due to this that it is said that inbreeding is not an advantage for biological or genetic fitness. Normally the health and immune system are reduced and malformations increased due to the inbreeding between your close relations.